Welcome to the Intelligence Briefing Live, What's the Buzz? Where leaders and hands-on experts share how they have turned hype into outcome. Today, we have a special episode for you. I'm still traveling this week, so we've pre-recorded this one, but we'll be answering your questions live in the chat. So please ask your questions as usual. And speaking of usual, next time we'll actually be back to the usual format of one-to-one conversation. But for now, let's move on. So, I've been playing one of my favorite retro games again. What's the Buzz? Been really stuck. And so that's where I've asked three experts to help me on the quest to trust in AI. Ariana, Tolani, and Noelle. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks so much. We're excited to be here.
Awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you, Andres, for having me today. I'm Ariana 𝗲𝗵𝗃, and I'm the founder and CEO of the 𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃 digital innovation consultancy. And we guide companies to create differentiating value for their customers and employees with development of digital tools, solutions, and advanced technologies they can implement in their organizations. Over the last 3 years, I've been focusing predominantly on emerging technologies, and I have a very keen interest in AI, and I use applications and actually creating the business value, the most importantly, with AI. I came to AI field a rather non-traditional route. I'm not a technologist. I'm actually an economist and have a business degree and long history of business knowledge and actually being an entrepreneur. So that's where I come from and bring value to the businesses with the use of technology.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad you're here and to have you on.
Likewise.
Yeah. Over to Noelle.
Awesome. Hello. I'm so excited about this game. It seems so fun. I hope I can help. I don't know. I'm always but I'm Noelle 𝗃𝗍𝗄. I'm the CEO and founder of AI Leadership Institute, where we educate executives across the globe around artificial intelligence and really around responsible AI at scale. One of the other things, though, that we do or that I do on a daily basis is I'm an executive at IBM. And I always think it's kind of interesting because my career 22 years ago started at IBM, a very different IBM. But it's interesting. We're going to talk about like transformation and AI and building, inclusive teams and all of these things I've watched kind of happen in my career. So super excited to hear from all of the people playing the game today, and happy to be a part of it. And of course, you can always find me on LinkedIn if you guys need another LinkedIn friend.
Fantastic. And that's how we met as well. So I'm really excited about the power of the platform and connecting on the topic that we're so passionate about. All fantastic. So then maybe over to Tolani. Great to have you on as well.
Thank you. I'm so super excited to be here because we've been talking on LinkedIn for God knows how long. So it's on the show. It's sometimes it's like a dream come true for me. But just as you mentioned, my name is Tolani 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃. I'm the founder of 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃. The good thing about 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 is not just Boston jargons or Boston meets. It's actually a business, a small business based out of Ireland. And what we do is quite simple. We do 4 things very well. We do intelligent automation research, advisory, consulting, and corporate trainings. But just a little bit about myself. I've been in the digital transformation space for 7 years. But I've been more focused around robotic process automation, and that's where I literally started my career from. And within that time frame, I've seen RPI evolve into other sort of other technologies, such as what we're beginning to talk about, like intelligent automation. And that's really why I founded my own business, to really get into that market share and see what's going on in that space. So what we do is quite simple in the consulting realm. We work with SMEs and mid-market, financial services and healthcare. It's a no-brainer why I'm in the financial services. I'm also an employee as well. I work with Allied Irish Bank as an RPA lead. So it's no-brainer why I would business in this same field. But I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I don't think I realized it when I set it up, and the fact that all three of you are founders of your own companies, that's exciting too. So really glad that you're able to add that perspective to it as well. So maybe just a quick shout out to folks in the audience. If you're just joining the stream, drop a comment in the chat what tricks you're looking for. But like last time, no cheating allowed. So what do you say? Should we start playing?
Absolutely.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So this one is a warm-up. When I hit the buzzer, you'll see a sentence. And I really need your help. So can you answer with the first thing that comes to mind and why, in your own words? And so together you have 60 seconds for your answer. So please keep it short, right? We're on a schedule. So for those of you watching us live, please drop your answer and why in the chat as well. So team, are you ready for What's the Buzz?
Yes.
Finally. So, okay, great. Let's do this. If AI were an animal, what would it be? Maybe Noelle, what do you think?
I'm like, well, it has to be a unicorn because some people believe in it and some people don't, but it's capable of incredible things if you believe. So I like unicorns or rhinoceroses, which are actually the real life version of a unicorn if you need a real animal, because some people say unicorns aren't real. But yeah, those would be my choices. Who else got one?
Perfect. Who else?
24 seconds. We got time.
It's funny, first thing came to mind was actually a monkey. And I think, it's really, constantly working and, dealing with lots of data and information and, coming out with the answers. And can we be, like you said, some people believe it, some don't believe it, and think some people think it's a monkey business, but it's actually not.
Love it. How about you, Tolani? I know we're out of time, but keep going.
Yeah. So I think it would be a chameleon. It's a lizard, just because people think they know it, but they don't. So it always changes based on what you feed it and how it turns to work around different environments. So I'd say chameleon.
I like
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming up with those things on the fly. I really appreciate it. Fantastic.
I was like, I went first. That's not fair.
Put you right on the spot.
I know. Beep.
So, but I think that part on it's different things. It changes. That's something I feel really resonates, at least with me, and I'm sure with folks in the audience as well. Because it changes and means so many different things to so many different people. Let's maybe take a look at the first question. What's the first thing in a transformation? So wondering if, Ariana, if you can help me with that. What's the first thing you do in a transformation?
So what I advise my clients to first think of is business problem. We started with the business problem. What is the business problem and how can it be solved with AI? Should it be solved with AI? And why is this problem important for the organization to be solved? There are so many tools that we use in organizations, and AI is another tool to be applied. So certainly it's a business problem. The next one will be business value of solving that problem and how we're going to use that to generate the value. And then creating what is the data strategy, objective functions, modeling, and all of that comes there. But certainly knowing our resources from the data, from the people, from the processes. These are so many layers that need to be addressed. But I would say business problem is the first one to start with.
Fantastic. And I think that's a theme we keep hearing, right? Start with the business problem, worry about technology later. If you do it the other way around. right? You're just in love with technology, and you struggle to make that case.
And certainly the business values where every company will want to use that. Otherwise, there are so many other tools you can use for solving problems and decision making.
Yes. Very good. So let's maybe then take a look at question number 2. How do you build trust in AI? And I think that kind of goes along with it. If you start with the business problem and you roll it out to people, how do you make sure that they actually appreciate what you're doing here, and that they accept what you're doing? And I know, Noelle, you've been doing quite a lot of work in that area. What do you recommend? What do you see?
Absolutely. This is a good question. And it's so interesting. Like, of course, it's level 2, because the first thing, as you mentioned, in any digital transformation, right, Ariana, is figuring out what problem are we going to solve. And then you think, okay, how can I solve this like the fastest way I can with the best technology? And AI is often thrown on the table as a tool. And so the word, though, right, the operative word is trust. And so the way that I build trust when I go into an organization and I'm talking about the dream of AI, which I am very good about selling the dream of what you can do with all this cool technology. But trust only comes when I actually can deliver on the dream, deliver on the promise. And it ties directly to what you said, right? Is as soon as an organization culturally understands what problem they're going to solve and what tangible business outcome they want, that becomes literally the way I build trust in AI. I build an AI system that delivers on that value. So oftentimes, like simple, intelligent workflows, right? Like if somebody has a manual process, I can go in and just say, okay, I commit to improving your throughput of customers by 35% with the use of AI. Then my job is to actually deliver on that promise, on that 35%. And as soon as I do, trust is built, but it's built in these like little small projects. Gartner even said, like, over the last 5 years, 90% of projects failed that had the word AI in them. And the reason why was exactly what Ariana said, that we never identified the exact problem we wanted to solve, nor did we attach an actual value to that solution. And that's where AI is the most powerful. And so, yeah, I'd say we build trust by delivering results on those business outcomes, by building models that solve those very specific problems.
Fantastic. I really love that. Make it tangible, right? And put your money where your mouth is.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
With all the hype still around AI and the AI whitewashing, it's so easy to claim there's AI in everything and all the promises that we make. But to your point, when you do make promises, we better keep them, especially if you want to be credible and win trust in AI. Excellent. So then maybe let's take a look at the next question here. Why do businesses still want a human in the loop? And maybe that's something, Tolani, that you can maybe help me with. I know you work a lot on RPA and intelligent document processing, where there is a lot of people still in the loop.
Well, I think I look at it from 2 different angles, and I'm probably going to take it from where Noelle stopped. When we talk about business outcome and delivering on those business outcome, we still need to advise people that AI would never be 100% in terms of predictions. So people need to be wary of this and also acknowledge that with AI, you still have 80%. You might have 80-90%, but you still need human in the loop to help refine the view of the world. And I'm probably going to give a good example here, particularly around if you have, let's say, a child, or if you have a nephew or a niece, or whatever the case might be. You take them to the zoo and they identify different animals, like, this is a lion, this is a tiger, or whatever the case might be. Then tomorrow I come back and I tell the child, I give them a picture of a fox and I tell them it's a dog. The first thing they're going to do is argue with me and say, no, this is not a dog, right? There are 2 things that are going to happen. Either I get convinced by that child that it's not a dog, or I convince that child that it's a dog, right? And let's say, because of who I am, I convince the child that it's a dog. What's happened is the view of the view of how they see things is completely different. Every time they see a fox, it becomes a dog. Every time they see a dog, it's still a dog, right? And that's why I tell them that AI 100%, you don't get that 100%, but you keep changing the course of AI by refining, putting that human input into the system. And I think the second part of it is, again, I might probably just put it on the businesses because we can. Businesses fail to find good data sometimes, right? What I would always advise is, you want to build, let's say, a good model. You need for documents, you probably need about 500 for good prediction. I tell you that, right? But how many people in the organization can go into the into wherever they have it, into their lockers or whatever on the network, and give me 500 different samples? It's not going to happen, right? But what we can do with human in the loop is they keep, in as much as we have a small sample, we can keep refining that over time, and AI becomes better than how it was yesterday. And this is where, the humans really change that course by giving the AI the transparency it needs, the oversight it needs, and it keeps improving over time. Just not to take too much of the time, I probably just stay on those two examples. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks. The part around having that human in the loop. So even if you do have the data, you still need to label it, and you need someone to tell you, what are maybe the bounding boxes around some of the text and all the manual and even still laborious tasks while you're trying to get rid of some laborious tasks. That's where people can help you already in that process today. If you augment it, if you make that step part of the process, build a good data set that you can then do your AI with. Perfect. Thank you so much. So that's awesome. Team, we've made it. So thank you. Thank you so much for helping me play What's the Buzz today. So let me summarize real quick. First of all, if you think about digital transformation, make sure you look at business value and business objectives first. That's where it all should start. Technology comes second. Then secondly, while you're building that talk track and getting that buy-in, whether it's from your customers or from your internal stakeholders, make sure that you also deliver on that promise to keep that credibility, to build that trust and reinforce it. And one way to do that is to have a human in the loop for processes, especially where they're document-based or where you can and should review something, to make sure that your data set is built and gets better over time. Fantastic. So we're getting close to the end of the show today. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your experience with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was so fun. I'm glad we won.
Yes, right? So, and to folks in the audience, see you next time for another round of the Intelligence Briefing Live. What's the Buzz? Bye.
Bye.